Get some. Beware,
IGN Game Scoop.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to IGN Game Scoop. I'm your host, Damon Hadfield. This is Greg Miller.
Hey!
That's Colin Moriarty.
Hello.
And that's Steve Butts.
Hello.
You may have heard yesterday there was some controversy when Deep Silver announced the zombie bait edition of Dead Island Riptide that comes with a woman's torso, minus the head, minus the
A model of a woman's
well,
torso. Let's be clear.
not an actual woman's torso. A model. It's a foot tall. Something like that.
Right.
No head, no arms, no legs. She's wearing a bikini. She's very well endowed. That would cause some controversy.
Now, I was playing SimCity all yesterday, so I caught up at the end of the day. It's the UK version of this?
Yeah, so this is just in the UK.
Okay.
Yeah, so I didn't want to get into the discussion of whether or not that is offensive, because that's down to personal taste. What I think is curious is that that is just for the UK.
Right.
The US version of the collector's edition, whatever it's called, it's not called the zombie bait edition. It comes with this innocuous little hula zombie girl.
Oh.
She's like this tall.
I was hoping you'd open the box, there's arms and a head. You're like, what the hell is all this stuff?
And get a buddy in the UK.
Exactly.
You can get your pieces together.
They started a Dead Island fan club.
like
Like
that.
when I joined the Burger King's Kids Club,
Yeah.
I had a pen pal.
Yeah?
What did you talk about, Whoppers?
Yeah.
You have like a pen pal somewhere else in the country?
Yeah, another Burger King's Kids Club member. I think he was in
weird.
Wyoming or something. It was really weird, yeah.
They pair you up?
Yeah.
How many times did you guys write to each other?
3 times, maybe.
Yeah.
Did he play Master System or something? Is that?
No, he didn't play. I don't
You had nothing to talk
I
to
don't
him
know
about?
he played games. He sent me his parents, took a photo of him on Christmas once and put it in and sent it. And he was like in a Davy Crockett thing. I'm like, kids in Wyoming are stupid.
You still get Christmas cards from him every year.
He's the godfather to Portillo.
Wyoming, of course, the capital in Jericho. So
That's a good point. That's a good point. Gotta show some respect.
So the collector's edition contains different things in different territories.
Right.
Why is that? We're seeing that also with Injustice: Gods Among Us. The release date was recent. It was just announced yesterday. What is that? April something? Remember the date?
I was playing SimCity.
Anyway, that collector's edition comes with a statue of Batman and woman.
Batman and Woman!
My favorite hero, woman.
The very popular DC Comics character, Woman.
It wouldn't surprise me if DC named a character that. Well, they're lame
All right,
characters.
let's not go that. Let's not go down this road, all right? You're just trying to get under my skin.
Batman and Wonder Woman.
There you go.
But the two statues are different in both territories. They're in different poses. In the U.S. one, Wonder Woman clearly has the upper hand in their battle. They're
About
fighting.
to hit him with it looks like part of the Batwing or something, some kind of piece of metal.
Yeah, she has
Oh,
her.
it's Superman's ship that he came to Earth in, I think.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah, I think it's Kal-El.
I actually, you know what? I think I read you're right about this. I read the description. Let me see. Can I look up close? Okay. That looks like a ship.
She
in
has
their world.
her magic rope around his neck.
It's magic
lasso.
lasso. The magic rope.
Now, I don't know who this character woman is with her magic
Woman
rope.
in her magic rope, like the worst knockoff you've ever seen. When you go to this local supermarket and they have those terrible toys packaged there. Woman, magic rope.
And the statue that in the UK, Batman has the upper hand. He's like choking Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Here, and he's throttling her basically. It's a little bit more like violent woman. I think
It's
that
like
was
some sort of sexual politics going on here, you think?
Yeah.
Was there any statement released about this? Why there's different ones?
No,
Okay.
but in our article about it, all of the comments from our U.S. readers are like, I would rather have the UK statue. It's cooler.
Totally.
Why does this happen? Why the games are the same across territories? Why are the contents of the collector's editions different?
In terms of Injustice, Gods Among Us, I would imagine they are playing to the audience they have. That comic book collectors buy 2 versions of the comics, one's to open. You have all these different covers. They will buy every issue of that thing. So you release 2 versions of it, you sell the game twice maybe. If you're in the United States and you buy this version, you're like, oh, that statue's cooler. There's probably a good chance, if you're a big enough DC Comics fan, that you're going to go to eBay and try to buy it. Look at Goldfarb, how addicted to Bioshock he is. Anything Bioshock, he'll go on eBay and try to buy or stuff. That's the market they have. That's the culture comic books have made around DC Comics and stuff like that.
But if they're going on to eBay to buy it, Warner Brothers isn't getting
Good point.
that money.
But you're still getting a market to buy that. So Damon Hatfield over the English version of Damon Hatfield, Governor Hatfield, he doesn't care about DC Comics, but he knows there's a market and he wants to earn a quick pound, as they say.
A shilling.
So he goes to the local L GameStop, whatever they call them over there.
L GameStop in London.
Yes.
The old GameStop, right?
He buys it and then he gets on eBay and sells it. Warner Brothers still makes the sale. Governor
I think
David
this is a
Hatfield.
stretch. I think this is a stretch.
Yeah, I think you're looking too far ahead. Like, I think what it is basically is that you have two separate marketing teams that don't talk to each other, right? You have a U.S. marketing team that decides what's going to work in our market, and they make something, and a U.K. team decides exactly the same thing over there, right? Now, I do think there is sort of like a sensitivity issue. Like the Dead Island thing is great. I don't think they would have tried that in the U.S. I
Right.
don't think they would have tried to sell that here. So that's sort of a suitability for, I guess, the gaming audience that you have.
Are they still selling it in the UK? I saw they issued an apology.
They said they were considering it.
Okay.
They're gathering feedback.
They said they deeply regret the choice
Yeah.
of making it, but they didn't say they were like
Yeah,
canceling the.
They already made them, so they got to sell them now.
Exactly,
I mean,
that's
there's
the
like-
thing. They have to be in production.
It's gonna be like ET cartridges in the
Yeah.
Arizona desert if they don't do it. No, I think Steve's right in the sense that, I mean, Greg and I know better than anyone maybe because we cover Sony so exclusively that like Sony PR and marketing and all those guys in Europe do not talk to the people in America, and there's different release dates, and some games don't even come out here, and some games come out there like far ahead of time, and there are different covers on games, and there's like all sorts of different stuff going on. You know, White Knight Chronicles 2 is a great example of a game that came out like way before it came out in America, it came out in Europe. Resistance 3 had different covers and different marketing. It was much more heavily marketed in Europe than it was here. PlayStation All-Stars had a bunch of TV commercials running in Europe and Russia that were not run here, that were like much cooler than what we got here. So I think there's just a bunch of miscommunication or not communication, no communication between the marketing and
I forget what it was too. There was a game that came. It happens all the time, but we see different covers for different games. You know what I mean? As far as like what the European one's going to be to this, and there was some Sony exclusive recently where we were all like, oh man, the UK cover is way better than our cover.
Well, there was that issue with the first Dead Island, right? Where the cover had to be changed.
Oh right.
Because
they
it had
the
a hanging
from
guy.
tree.
And I love
True,
that
yeah.
logo. That logo is so great.
It's a cool logo.
Yeah, but the ERCB said that's against our standards to market using that kind of imagery, right? But what's interesting is like you even have different pre-orders within the same territory. It's like you want to go buy Aliens Colonial Marines and like you get something different at Best Buy, then you get at Walmart, then you get on Steam, then you get you buy it at Target or whatever.
Yeah.
And I guess that's sort of the retailer's urge to get the pre-orders sort of in their own till, right? So like Target's got a really great pre-order, they know that that sale's not going to go to GameStop, even though it's being sold in the same country.
Yeah, that's not good for the consumers, though. I don't think, or it's not the ideal situation, right? Because like you're getting a certain exclusive from one retailer, and then you're missing out on the exclusives. From
Right,
the other
but you don't get this multiplayer skin or this
Yeah.
comic book or whatever it is. Yeah.
I like it.
retailer. Why?
I think it's cool. I think it's a cool idea to incentivize people, and that stuff always becomes available later on. It's like the whole Batman thing. Like when Arkham City came out, right? There were all these different skins, the Beyond skin and the Dark Knight skin, that you could get from the get-go if you had the pre-order code or whatever. And eventually you unlocked them in the game, and then eventually you could buy the exclusive ones. But then again, there was a whole market of buying them from eBay or whatever. But I think it's cool to be like, Best Buy needs a reason for you to go to Best Buy, so they're like, hey, you know what?
And a year later, when pre-order buzz isn't relevant anymore, they put it up on PSN or Xbox Live, or you buy it in the collector's edition, or not the collector's edition, but like Game of the Year edition,
Sure.
or whatever.
I don't know, I just miss the days when everyone bought a game and everyone had the same thing, the same product.
You're like, that guy shouldn't have a red coat multiplayer skin
Right?
because I don't have one.
don't have that.
That's
I have a
very-
gold one.
Yeah. That's democratic. That's probably an American point of view. In England, where they have a rigid class system, maybe they don't care about that so much. Maybe they're more accepting. Like they're more accepting of that bloody torso, because everywhere you go in Europe, it's like statues of naked ladies. It's a normal thing, right?
Yeah, the statues of bloody.
You were just there, right? Bloody naked ladies everywhere you turn,
I
right?
think it even said, the original press release said it was like Dead Island's take on a famous statue.
Oh, was it supposed to be like the
Venus
Venus
de
de
Milo
Milo or
Venus
whatever?
de Milo,
Okay, I didn't get that.
Yeah, I mean.
She's not wearing like a Union Jack bikini with like blood all over those, so it's a little...
Dead Island Riptide is also doing the obnoxious current trend where there is no regular edition of the game. The standard, like the $50 edition, the one that's created in mass quantities, is called it's either the collector's edition or the special edition.
That's what they did for PS3
Yeah.
for sure on last
And there's
one
like,
too.
well,
Yeah.
so-
What's special about it?
Exactly.
Like, there's
That's
nothing special
That's
about
what I'm
it.
saying. It's obnoxious.
It's
totally
the
agree.
edition.
I know, it is.
It's like Woman, right?
Yeah.
There's no Wonder Woman, it's just regular woman.
Regular old woman.
Now, with the Dead Island, the Zombie Bait edition, we acknowledge that there's probably they were aware of some cultural sensitivities. Like there's a reason why they didn't bring that to the U.S.
Sure.
Right? Do you think there's something like that happening here with the two Injustice statues? Does the one that's being released in the UK, where he's choking Wonder Woman, does that look like? Would that remind people of violence against women? Like, is that the reason why that's not being released?
I guess, but I'm kind of confused by that mentality in the sense that, in my opinion, Western Europe seems to be much more rigid about what they're showing in games, what they're showing in movies and violence. They're much more of a nanny statism going on over there than it is in the United States. I would think that it would be the other way around, there's cultural sensitivities on both sides of the Atlantic, obviously, but to me, it seems like if we were going to have the more blatant violence and all that kind of stuff, that would actually make more sense in the United States than in countries where the government actually gets involved in regulating those kinds of things.
Well, the Dead Island is an interesting mix of violence and sexuality all in one, which is
one-stop shop, right?
I know, right? Yeah.
It's everything you need right there.
Yeah, I mean, that's my take on that. Is that I really think that it has nothing to do with cultural sensitivities. Probably it has to do with the marketing teams and who's doing what or whatever. Deep Silver, for instance, has their own North American branch and their own North American people taking care of their game launches that might not even come out on the same day.
But it's interesting, though, that like these two things, if we go on the supposition that they just don't talk to each other and they just happen to be different for arbitrary reasons, like it's Batman and Wonder Woman in each statue, right? Like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Do you think that's coincidental?
No, I don't. I mean, I don't. It's like in the age of the internet,
Well, this is this is another thing I wanted to bring up.
Yeah. Well,
like in the case of Dead Island, in the year 2013, how could they not think that this would be a problem? Even if they're just releasing it in the UK, the world is getting smaller and smaller. At least it feels that way, and like. It's like we're not like people are still going to hear about it, or they're still not going to be upset about it. It's like if people think this is like tasteless, they're going to be upset about it whether it's being sold in their country or not. Right?
Well, the cynical part of me when I first saw this was like, oh, they know it's tacky and they're doing it so people will talk about it. I mean, we're doing a Game Scoop about it, right? We wrote editorials about it. Like
we walked right into their trap.
Exactly, right? Like it trended very high on Twitter yesterday, right? And that's amazing publicity for them. But I imagine with the negative attention that it got, that it wasn't a calculated move on their part to push people's buttons and be provocative and hope for that kind of backlash. But at the end of the day, it worked out for them in terms of raising the visibility of their game, right?
Yeah, and I wonder, I mean, the one thing I think about with this now is, will this affect the bottom line for that game? And I really don't think it will at the end of the day. I'm not sure that it's, for Dead Island 2 or whatever in particular, like I'm not sure that game's going to do gangbusters anyway. It did well enough. The first one did well enough to warrant a sequel, of course, but I'm most interested to see the bottom line now. With
somebody's got to eat $40,000 worth of bloody torsos.
Yeah,
I bet they still release the torso, and I bet they benefit from it. Any publicity is good publicity. You know what I mean? Like people are gonna. It's like we last GDC, I went to that talk from EDARS, Eric Brudvig. And it was all about review scores, and that even if you give a game a terrible review score, that sticks. The name sticks.
Sales
exactly
because it increases awareness of your game. 6 months from now, they may not remember the bad review, but they'll remember the name.
Exactly.
And pre-orders aren't about sales; they're about pre-orders, right? I mean, it's about getting that money in the till before the game is released. Because then the person is more likely just to spend the extra $20 or $30 to buy the game anyway. I mean, and they're not going to wait to find out from Colin whether the game is crappy or not.
And look at it from this perspective, right? From that people are talking about the game, which it's a self-perpetuating cycle, right? If you come, it was a popular story on IGN yesterday about Dead Island Riptide, so that you're clicking on those stories, and then over in the most commented on stories, Dead Island Riptide's rising. So more people are clicking on it. They're going there and they're watching videos, which then starts to raise it up on our most popular games list over here. You know what I mean? It's getting it out to people who aren't even clicking on the story now, are seeing it in other linkage.
Well, and people say in the comments like, "This is disgusting. I will never buy this game." But we know from like the Call of Duty, like people get these big sort of crusades going on the internet where we're not going to buy this game or whatever, and 90% of those people go out and buy it on day one anyway, right?
Yeah, I mean the only way people, that's what we always say, like even with the pre-order thing where like people kind of get upset about having different pre-orders, like you guys are talking about at different retailers. Like the only way a company is going to really care about you being mad about that is if they feel it in their wallet, and as long as they don't feel any pain in their wallet. Same thing with Deep Silver. This won't be the last bad mistake they make if they make a ton of money. You know what I mean? That's all they care about.
Breaking news.
In a situation like this, where people are offended by Torsogate, doesn't the market take care of it, right? So like, if it sells a lot of copies, then those people who are offended, like, they should probably be more worried about society and why society is so interested in this, why they want to buy this. And if it doesn't sell a lot of copies, then like you say, like they won't make it again. They either lose money or they won't make it. It won't happen again. I just think the market takes care of that.
The market takes care of everything if you let it. And at least in my opinion, I know not everyone agrees with that, but yeah, I mean the market will speak loud and clear on whether this game is going to be a success or not. I mean, I think that we kind of lose sight. It's the same thing with like Mass Effect 3's ending or other things that people get really worked up about. Like I think we kind of lose sight at the end of the day that we kind of work in this ecosystem where people are opinionated and loud, and we kind of get worked up about things, and we talk to all the same people and the same people. But at the end of the day, a dude that walks into Target and is like, oh, Dead Island Riptide, what is this game? And he picks it up off the shelf and he buys it, has no idea that this even happened. And I bet you the majority of people that buy that game will have no clue that this happened. You know, just like a majority of people that bought Mass Effect 3 6 months after it came out had no idea that there was a hullabaloo over the ending. So I think that we have to kind of give credence to that too, that we're kind of caught in this echo chamber in a sense, for good or for bad, where we lose sight of the fact that this is still going to be a retail game on a shelf where a mom or a grandparent or a guy in college or whoever is going to see this game and buy it or not, depending on the cover art and not on this whole, this travesty.
The hullabaloo.
Yeah, the hullabaloo.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, the controversy could have the effect where that torso will be actually a very valuable collector's item.
No doubt about it. It's going to be like Tengen Tetris.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one. My personal feeling on the torso is I think it's really dumb, and I would never buy that. I would never, obviously, have that in my house. But I'm kind of glad it exists because I think crazy things like that make life more interesting. And if you like went through and banned every sort of offensive item like that, life just wouldn't be as fun, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, on an individual level, I agree. I feel it's completely tacky, and it's a stupid move.
I kept looking at it going, who would buy this?
Exactly.
Who would display this in their
Actually, no,
house?
but to be fair, there are people in this office that would buy that thing, right, and have it on display.
Really?
I mean, yeah, in their living room probably too.
Who would do it in this office?
Buy the coffee machine.
Yeah. This is exactly right. This is exactly right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat where I'm like, I think that, honestly, I think that there's a bit of an overreaction to almost everything on the internet, so you kind of have to take everything with a grain of salt.
That's our job.
Yeah,
Don't give that away.
That's
right?
not our job. That's the internet's job, is to get mad about everything. But yeah, I'm in the same sense that I'm like, this is kind of, I look at it, and my first thought was like, this is strange. This is a strange thing. My first thought was not about the objectification stuff or the fact that it's offensive. Like that stuff didn't come into my mind at all until I started reading more about it or whatever, because I was like I've said before, everything offends someone, and so we shouldn't let something be offensive nonetheless make it so it doesn't exist at all. Like I said, if you think that's offensive, that's totally fine with me. Speak with your money, because that is the only way anyone will get the point. And if you don't speak with your money, if you just post on Twitter about it or get angry in comments about it, it will change nothing.
But again, we talked about this today, public opinion is a force in the market, right? Like, it's not just about dollars, it's about what your company looks like.
Sure, but I think one thing leads to the other.
It does have an economic effect, yeah, right.
One thing leads to another.
Good song.
That's really good.
That's all I can sing before we have to pay him.